Hello. This video is to help create priors using the VRE simulator, or the Virtual Radiology Hospital Virtual Radiology Environment simulator system. The first thing you'll need to do is go to this URL that I've put here in a large font. Hopefully most of you have seen this before, but it's available on GE's network today. vresystem.am.health.ge.com/VRE landing page. You can pause this video if you need to take some time to type in this URL. I'll also be sure to have it copied in an email when this training session is sent out. When you go to this URL, you'll see the virtual radiology environment, the main page. This first link, VRE Explained, is actually a link to some documentation and videos about VRE. This might be useful if you want additional training, etc., on how to use VRE's more advanced features. I'll close that for now. I'll give you some time to look at that later. The second link is the VRE data system, which most of you are familiar with today. This is where you can retrieve DICOM and either directly send it over CStore to the PACS or receive it via email. The third link is the VRE simulator. You'll need to click on that link to visit the tool. It'll open it in a new tab. Notice we're on the first tab here. It'll open in a new tab. You'll come to this page. You'll see a home and a description of each of the features that are available inside of VRE. See Find. Let me move this over a little bit. See Find, See Move, See Store, DICOM modality work list, HL7 testing, etc. What you'll want to do is click on Workflows and go to Scheduled Workflows. Click on that link, give it a moment to bring up the page. And from this interface, you'll be able to run various types of jobs where you can control fully all the values in the DICOM header. Once you're in this screen, you'll see Workflow. Let me make this a little more visible in the capture area for the video. You'll see Workflow, step 1 of 1. You'll see the option to complete checkboxes and fill out the different types of DICOM actions or HL7 that you'd like to use. In this example for now, we're only going to do the DICOM CStore, edit DICOM files. Now for this video, there's going to be two parts. The first part that I'm going to go through in the beginning is how to reuse jobs that I've pre-configured in the VRE simulator, where you can edit the values and run the jobs and reuse them, easily creating priors using different modalities. Then what I'll go through is how to create your own job from scratch. But I think for the sake of brevity, it'll probably save most people time if I just quickly go through how to reuse the jobs that I've set up. So as you know, we clicked on Workflow and Scheduled, and we arrived at this page to do various parts of a scheduled workflow test. If you go over here to the right, underneath Job History, you may expand or shrink these sections and click on these two little arrows in the circle over here on the right hand side, right a little bit to the right of Email. Just click that to refresh, and that'll load pre-saved jobs. You'll notice here I created a simple CR. You click on the line where the you can click on the little plus or minus if you want to expand or collapse these jobs. You click on it, expand it, and you can see Load. You click Load, and it'll pull those values out of the database. Here's the name for the job, and all the values are set. Go over here to the left, to the bottom of the section in the page where it says Next, right here where you can see the pointer. If you can see that here, I'll right mouse click as you can see a menu. So click on Next, and you'll notice it has all of these DICOM tags and various settings put here in the page. You will not need to change too many things here. One of the things you'll need to change is the email. Notice here down at the bottom I've highlighted email. You'll have to put your personal email on the GE network to get the state of the job when it's completed. You can put the study, you can change this subject. Okay, if you mouse over, you'll get a little, you'll get a pop-up that'll tell you, some help text. You can also change the body of the email. Okay, I recommend that you edit those as well. Okay, if you run, the next thing you'll need to do is click on the next. You can do anything you want in this interface, but a quick thing that I want you to be aware of is you can click the next, and you'll need to change the IP address of the DICOM SCP that you're sending the data to. So obviously the SCU AE title, the SCP, the IP address, and the port. Okay, this UID is a UID from the VRE data system that you can choose and put here. In this case, I've already picked one and saved it. It represents a CR, computer radiography, and you can use that to just simply push a CR and see how this works. Be sure that you have new study UID, new series UID, and new instance UID picked in the job. Let's go back. I went to the next screen. Let's go to previous. Click on the previous button and go back to the screen with the DICOM tags. You'll notice here you have the DICOM tags, which I'm sorry to say you may have to look up if you're not familiar with DICOM at that level. But they're basically in this drop down as named values. So you have the instance creation date, the acquisition date, the content date, the study date, and the series date, and the image date that's been configured for each of the header values in the DICOM tag. What you can do is you can edit those values and you'll get a pop-up. Okay, you can change them to be 2018. We could change them to November 30th, say. Okay, let's copy that value. And you'll notice that the value is now set to 2018 11/30, so November 30th in 2018. So that's a prior study. We're going to set this across all of the dates that are effectively in this list. You may want to keep a guide of the DICOM standard. You could quickly look up on Google DICOM 8, Group 8, Element 20, etc. for each of these if you want to get the details of what specific tags they are, and use them as needed. Okay, you'll notice that as I'm changing them, they're changed here. We'll go over here, click the E for edits. Okay, and those are setting all the possible dates for the as I showed in the drop down, the content date, acquisition date, study date, series date, and image date. You can also put the study time, the series time, and the image time. You have to be sure when you set the value that you set a value that's appropriate for the DICOM standard in the format that it needs. It'll be set here as a string. You'll need to make sure you set it correctly. Okay, that shouldn't be too bad. In this example, I have a very simple DICOM SCP that's going to drop the files into a folder. Let me clear what's there for now, and we can look at them after the fact. Let's set this back to 0. Okay. One more thing that you can change is the patient name. You could update that if you like. You can also update the patient ID. Okay, that's all of the DICOM tags is set. A single patient, also the accession number. So let's edit the accession number. Let's call that accession, let's call that ACC01. That's the first one. It's the first accession number for this study that we're sending for the same patient and the same patient ID. Okay, we'll go to the next screen. That's our study UID from the DICOM data tool. I will go into these details a little bit later. I just wanted to get you up and running with something quickly. Again, be sure to generate unique UIDs. That makes the data, the DICOM, appear fresh from a modality, as if it was newly created. Although it's the same pixel data, it's new from the DICOM standpoint. And we will run this job. I'm going to choose not to save well, let me save it. I will save this job. We called it, what was that, 11:30? 11:30, yeah. Let's put 11:30 for this job. Give it a new name, and I'll run it. And while this job is running, you can get the status eventually. You could watch your SCP receive the data. It's receiving the DICOM. DICOMs, we can refresh that with this little arrow figure. You can see the status. If you refresh, you'll see your job has now been saved because you checked the Save Job option. So there's your CR patient with that name and the prior for the date. Received it at the SCP, and we see the file is now in the folder. Let me minimize that a little bit. We'll open it up. It's a type of memo. We'll go to View, DICOM Tags. We can see the acquisition date is set to the November 30th. The content date set to 11:30. The session number is the one that we put. Obviously, the modality is CR. We will get to the patient identifier. Patient ID is the ones that we set, etc. You could set any other DICOM tag you want. If the DICOM tag you would like to edit is not in this drop-down list, email us. You send an email. Let me bring this over here. You can send an email to VRE@qualitestgroup.com, and we will respond. It's a very quick, it's a simple 5-minute job to go into this interface on the web page and update and add whatever DICOM tags that would be more convenient for you to have here to use and edit. Okay, you can pause this video if you want to write that down. I'll leave it there for a moment. Okay, so that shows you how to create. We have a CR that's been saved by virtue of the study UID from the data system. I'll use this over here. I'm gonna so that's sort of a quick and easy way to do this. If you want to send another prior or something at a later date, simply what you would do is come in here and edit this and set this to a new value. So an example would be to set it to like 12:10. Okay, and then you would copy that across each of the DICOM tags here in the configuration, and then you would be able to basically have the same data with new UIDs, new identifiers, etc. Then you would update the session number to reflect as if it was a new study for the same patient, same ID, probably a new accession number, I'm assuming, and then a new date. And you could put the times in if you like as well, all from this simple interface. Okay. One of the things I want to go through now are the more advanced features, so you can find any other type of data you would like and use it again in this type of fashion. So what we'll do is we'll look. I want to first show you the UID. This is the study instance UID for a CR that's in the VRE data system. So we'll go to DICOM tags, study instance UID. I'll put it in here, and it should respond quickly, which it did, and it shows me this is the same study that we sent. And if you click on the thumbnail, you can see that this is actually the original source study UID, which you would copy. You would basically copy this. Okay, come over here to the simulator, go to the page here with the UIDs, and put this in. You can actually do multiple UIDs separated by a semicolon or comma. I don't recommend doing that right now, but that is an option. We could go through that if you'd like to have more details on how to do that. We could talk about that later, but I think one at a time, because of the reuse, I think makes it pretty easy. Let's go back and let's reuse this study. Let's reuse this job to find a different modality. Let's say you're interested in doing an MR. So let's say modality equals MR. Search for that data. Give it a moment to find it. Okay. Let's pick this, not 400 slices. Let's pick a small one. There's a small one with 2 slices. I realize that's not practical, but let's just use that for the sake of the example. You click on the thumbnail. You mouse over to the thumbnail where you see the image. And when it opens up, it gives you a high-level view of many common DICOM tags. You will highlight that study instance UID and copy it. Close that window. Come over here to the simulator. We click on the tab where the simulator is with the job that you already loaded. Highlight that, delete it, and paste in your MR study. Now you're using a new modality effectively for the same patient. We're going to go back. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the name of my job to MR. I'm going to leave the patient ID to what I wanted, and I'm going to change the date to 12. Now remember, this part that I'm changing right here is only the name of the job. You don't have to actually change this. You could actually not save the job and just rerun it and kind of do this over and over. I'm just changing it here to make it simpler for the sake of reuse. That's all. We go over here. Let's grab the date, 12/10. We'll edit each of the date related tags. Okay, I will actually go ahead and update the accession number. Just put a 2 on it. And we'll leave the patient name and the patient ID the same, which my understanding is that's the request. Okay, now we save those DICOM configurations. You can put here, we'll do study date set to 12/10/18. I forgot that in my last run. 10/18. We'll go to next. Everything is available, and we can run the job. Let's watch for the DICOM to show up. There they are. They've been arrived at the SCP, just like a PACS or a VNA. We'll open that DICOM file. We'll look at the view, DICOM tags, and you can see here the dates have all been set to December 10th with the newest session number and the same patient name and patient ID. Now, you may be wondering, well, gee, this is great, but I need to send HL7 with it. If you need to do that, you can simply come over here and click on ADT and ORM, and the related HL7 segments or subsegments, pieces of the HL7 will be updated accordingly based on these DICOM tags. Certainly the patient ID, the accession number, and the patient name. And the study date and some of the other related ones that have a match in HL7. You don't have to worry about it. Those will automatically flow through into the HL7 for you if you would like to add those. And when you run the job, if you happen to save it, it'll save those HL7 as well. The one advantage to the HL7 is you can actually put a template HL7 message, would be a sample from the vendor you're dealing with, and you could paste that HL7 sample into this interface, and the appropriate changes based on your configuration will go into that space in the HL7, into that segment. That's the beauty of it. So you can actually send a sample kind of body of an HL7 that maybe is problematic, or just maybe has a bunch of other things that you really want, but you want to update the patient ID and a session number and patient name, etc. And then of course you put the you may put the organization, you could put sample or test or something, put the host and the port number for the HL7 server. Okay, I believe that covers everything we need to know. One more thing that I'd like to do is let's show how to add additional DICOM tags. In here we have, let's do study time. So here's the study time. That's 1, 2, 3, that's a 6-digit number, if I'm not mistaken. And so let's copy the value for that, and let's update the study time and see how that works. We'll do that without saving the job this time, but I'll just show you. I just wanted to show you how to use this feature in the tool. So let's say study time. We'll say set new value. There are many options here for rules if you run under load and stuff like that. If you're curious, the duration of the test, we could run this over and over. We could do a pause between different types of pausing. We could run it across multiple threads internally, so you can saturate and do a heavy-duty load test against the server. I won't go into those features just yet. I'll show you more basic stuff for now. Let's change this to be something like, let's put 11, I don't know, 25, 10. How about that? We'll add that in as a study time. You'll notice that study time comes in as the core DICOM tag. My apologies for not matching those, but I sort of, for a DICOM geek, that's a good thing. For someone who's maybe less familiar with DICOM, that might be a little bit of a hassle. I apologize if it is. But I think it's easier because you know specifically which DICOM tag is actually getting updated. So I think it's better to show it. Okay, we'll run this. I'm actually not going to save this job. I just wanted to show the feature. Oh, let's go back. I'm going to undo the HL7. And we'll go back and double check everything. There's our DICOM settings. You know, let me save this job, and I'll call it patient 01. Let me call it, let me put timing on it. And put study time, just so we have that. Okay, and we'll watch that come into the SCP. There they are. The later time dates is going to be the 849 one. Let's go here. Hopefully it sets. View DICOM tags. Study time, there you go, 11:25 and 10 seconds. So you'll have to look up in the DICOM standard exactly how to format that for, in the receiving system, obviously is going to care about AM, PM. I believe it's 24-hour, like a military time. So I don't remember off the top of my head. So you'll have to double check that. But this should help you to accomplish what you need to for doing priors. And if you have any questions, please, again, send an email to this email address right here. You can also call this number and leave a voicemail, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible if you feel in your pins. Probably email is better because it's easier to document you know, the instructions and things. Voicemail can be a little more time consuming, I think. But anyway, thank you for listening, and good luck.